Hi guys, it's April and I garden down in southeast Nebraska, zone 6A, and you are getting this garden tour a little bit early because this weekend I think is going to be a little chaotic. So I wanted to do this now when I knew I had time. Plus, I have a garden that I want to show off. You can definitely tell that we are in July. The heat and humidity are here, and I am starting to get some harvest, which I'm excited about. I do plan on harvesting hopefully some of the beets in this video, so I'll take you along for that journey, maybe plant out some beans, but otherwise I just want to show you what's out here. So because I think I'm going to be harvesting some of these beets, I want to show you this area first. This is, of course, I've got my tomatoes that are growing very well over there. I haven't seen any fruit on those yet. And then I've got these pots that just have a mix of peppers and basil and beans. Now here is where the beets are. I have pulled out what was left of some of the spring lettuce and the radishes. I have left the peas so far, but next to them or alongside them, I've started some runner beans so that as the peas fully die out, the beans can just kind of crawl up the old stalks. At least that's my plan. But here is where I want to be for today. See if I can show you that. There we go. Hopefully that works. I honestly don't know how many of these are actually ready. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough for a full can, but I know some of these are. Yeah, got at least one. Some of these are still looking a little small. I'm not sure why I thought these guys would be further along than they are. Oh, here we go. Are you a big one? No, I think you still got some time to grow. What might have happened is that they were a little shaded out. I'm gonna pull this guy. He's a little baby. So I was thinking that there was gonna be a lot more in here. This one's got a really big stalk, but it's probably got relatively small beet. Oh, that's somewhat okay. I think I'll leave most of these for a little longer, but maybe I will plant some bush beans next to it. Yeah. So the idea, and I've got my beans right here. I'm gonna do this whole section where the radishes used to be. I wanna put in some beans, and it's not super complicated or super exciting. Need something on here, and I'm gonna do the red swan. Might wanna get at least a glove. This is definitely the year I am experimenting with a lot more beans, because normally I don't have a huge variety of beans. Maybe I'll just kind of scatter them and then spread them as I push them in. How's that sound? Can't say I'm the biggest fan of gloves because you lose that sensation of feeling. So these won't be perfectly spaced. But you know, sometimes they just don't have to be. Just hit the areas where I think maybe I need a few. Oh, I didn't have any more in my hands. That's fine. smooth that out. Perfect. That's pretty much what I've been doing with all of these spring beds, is as I pull something out, putting something in. And if you've been with me for a couple of these garden tours so far, you've heard me explain some of the process, but I figured since I'm trying to tackle several things at once, why not just film it during my walkthrough of the garden? Now I will say, I'm hoping my camera doesn't overheat because it is really warm out today. So here are the other beds around here. I do need to trim back the pine berries. It's getting really hard to just walk through here or even manage these beds because of what's going on over here. But I do have some cabbage, there's an eggplant, there's what's supposed to be bush beans, but the way they're putting out leaders, they feel like they're vining. So I don't know what's going on there. And then I have tomatoes and peppers. I did plant some more spinach in the spinach bed back there, and I think I need to pull out the old spinach. Looks like it's pretty done. But the beans over here are starting to come up, and the angel hair spaghetti squash is looking good. This is a spinach from last year. I think it might be an Anna spinach, but I just left it because you can see the little spinach babies coming up around it. So these beds are doing very good right now. It'll be interesting to see how they fill out as the summer goes. The okra that I planted on this side of the bed hasn't started to come up yet, but sometimes okra is a little finicky for me, especially since I'm using my own saved seeds, so they're not always 100% germination, so I'm keeping my eye on that. I will take you around to the main area of the garden. We are coming through here a different way, and it's weird, and I like it. So we've got one of the pumpkins doing really well over here. That is a pink banana. And then as you walk this way, you have the white pumpkins. And these pumpkin over here are doing so well. It's also filling in with all of the ground cherries. So I think we are going to be getting a ton of ground cherry this year. And it's kind of fun how in the back, the dill is creating this nice wall. And I like it. This is probably one of my favorite views of the garden right now. For the garden beds, I mean, I've been showing off the peppers, but we are starting to get some peppers. This is a Jedi jalapeno. So jalapenos might be the first pepper of the year. I've been seeing some sweet peppers come in, but we had a little bit of a disaster the other day, and it's made me really sad. But I accidentally topped this poor pepper. I'm hoping I still get some peppers from it, that we have enough of a season that it can grow in and start peppers, because there was a pepper starting on that. And this is one of my orange lessias. But it does look like I have one there. So that's exciting. But otherwise, there is this jungle of squash. I did harvest a couple of zucchini off of that plant the other day, and I got some pictures of it. And I did harvest from this one as well. but I forgot to take pictures. Next time, I promise. But here, you can kind of see how the squash are filling in. They have honestly taken over this whole area, and they're burying my onions. I'm kind of letting it because I have a feeling these might not last as long as I want them to. So I'm letting them thrive. But I'm still waiting for the tomatoes to come in. I did notice the other day, and I'll show it to you. This guy right here. See if I can get the leaves out of the way. This is, I believe, a Mai Tai. So this is probably going to be one of the first slicing tomatoes that I have for the season. Oh, there's so many more up here. Hold on. Can I get in there? I can't tell if I'm showing you right because there we go. Sun is in just the right spot or wrong spot, depending how you view that. So we will get tomatoes this year, hopefully. We have the pond area. Still waiting for the sunflowers. But that looks to be relatively soon that those will open up. I think I am losing my dahlias to grasshoppers though. Yeah, they're getting eaten. Not sure I'm gonna do dahlias again next year with just all the trauma and the drama that has happened this year with the dahlias. But the kiwi, I have to keep coming through here. I'm trying to trellis these guys. Still looking for blooms so that maybe we'll get fruit this year, but I don't know. You can see the other kiwi plant, different variety right there, and then the two grape plants that are actually growing. I really like this view of this squash plant just coming out of the tomato plants. I kind of like how I heavily packed things this year. That I think at some point I need to start pulling onions and preserving them. I have started pulling at least these candy onions over here. I'm just not prepared for that kind of aggressive crying day because of how onions can just like hit you. But that'll probably happen soon. I do need to come through and weed a little bit. Still waiting for some paste tomatoes. But I do have some eggplants. Probably harvest that within the next couple of days because this is the fairy tale, so they don't get very big. But I do have quite a few on there. I have to think about what I want to make with those. But the carrots are looking really, really good. It's still a little quiet on the harvest front, but I have a feeling that all of this is going to get chaotic relatively soon. So that is the garden as it stands right now. I am going to go in and get a glass of water and then maybe come back out and prune up a few things. otherwise it's just sitting, it's waiting. I've got a lot of squash that are coming in, and I'm starting to think about how I want to use those. You saw the eggplant, so that's probably next on what I'm starting to think about using. But the onions and maybe the few of the garlic that actually made it might be processed soon. Either that, or I might just try leaving the onions in and using them as I need them. I don't cure onions. I just either use them or put them in the freezer. So there's really no rush to pull them out of the ground except for if they start going bad. So maybe I'll wait. Definitely not going to happen this weekend, but soon. And as I am going through and doing a lot of that harvesting and preserving, I do like to post things over on Instagram in threads. So you can see a lot of those updates over there before over here. But I do also like to do, at least I try to do, weekly updates of the garden over here. So if you want to follow me as the garden grows and changes, we are about midway through at this point. My last frost date is around October 15th. So we do have a little bit of time still with the garden, and it will be fun to see how it continues to grow. So feel free to hit the bell, do all the things to get all of the notifications. Otherwise, I hope I will see you guys again in another video, and I heart you beautiful faces. Bye.